You know,
So he's
get us out of.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, not right?
Well, he's comparing himself to it. I don't know why he shouldn't. He's certainly using all of the tricks of the trade. I mean, there's very little novel in what he's doing.
Explain the hedge part, though. That's interesting. He's hedging. The war hedges against the recession.
How does he do that? He's keeping people employed. There's at least a quarter of a million people who would be out there hunting for work if they were to shut the war on right now, among other things.
Why aren't we protesting that?
Pardon me?
Why aren't we protesting the war that he's supporting now?
Why are we protesting it?
Why are we not protesting?
Why are we? I don't know that we have enough brain power coming out of our schools to understand what the hell's going on at all. Pure and simple.
Well, there was an anti-war feeling in this country when Bush was president, which I agree with, anti-wars. But now Obama has, by becoming president, has silenced that.
And it's okay to go ahead and charge it down.
Yeah, well, essentially, Obama's going to tell you what happens to be his interpretation of what you want to hear. Yeah, in any given instance, he's a real politician. Yes.
I got a couple of questions. One, why did Russia go in there to begin with? Because I figured the Russian military, who I consider a lot more ruthless than ours, and if there was all these different groups in here, I could see the Russian military just eliminating by genocide.
That's what they were doing.
So why were I didn't understand why they went into it. They called it their own Vietnam, and after however many years, their own public.
Russia doesn't have a warm water port. And if I run right straight through Afghanistan and I go through Baluchistan, there I am. I'm in the warm water. It's the Indian Ocean on the west side of India.
So their motivation was what?
They wanted to put in roads and have a transit line from Uzbekistan and Tajikistan right straight through Afghanistan to the ocean.
Okay, so to help their own cause.
Yeah. Not only that, they could exploit what minerals they'd already been exploiting gas.
Right.
Okay, and they were the ones that started, along with the French, to try and figure out how to slurry iron ore and pump it, rather than cart it out in trucks or other things.
Okay, and then with us here, I look at it as, why are we there? You know, strategically, I can't see it for any reason for us to be there, because we don't need bases per se like we used to. I guess, like you partly said, we need a playing ground to test out our new military equipment.
Yeah, blooding a group. Yeah.
And so with the drones and everything.
Oh yeah, new toys.
All under the guise of we're helping liberate a people. And based on your dissertation here, they're more screwed up. At least with Iraq, it was the Kurds, the Sunnis, and the Hittites, whatever they were. The third way, not the Hittites. I know the wrong way. But basically, there's just three. And from what you're saying here, there's so many there. It's like you'll never get those many groups to come to a common term unless they're all like Kuwait, where they're all got gazillions of dollars in oil money and they are all happy little clams because everyone's getting a piece of the pie without having to do anything.
Our occupation of Afghanistan is flat out stupid. Understand that we have there a logistics nightmare. That's the land of the $500 pencil. In order to get something there, as you probably noted with the little map that the globe that was going on, it's exactly on the other side of the earth. Our own procurement men in the military are saying they're having a hell of a time. If it weren't for the Manas Air Base in Kyrgyzia, and the Russians saying, oh yeah, you can fly things in and drop them, when Uzbekistan told us to get the hell out with our military air base, and the Kyrgyzia was right on the cusp of doing the same, that would have cut us off. I'll show you in a video here in a few moments. If you're interested and are going to stick around, I can do that or show you a 1993 flick of Kabul. One of the two. The Khyber Pass, which was the major artery for trucking things in. Essentially, a guy, Batiullah Massoud, closed down the Khyber Pass Just closed it down. They blew up a couple of bridges and took over all of the pickets, and the next thing you know, there was no passage of anything. There was something like 150 trucks left in Peshawar that were loaded and ready to go. It was the only overland route that was of any value to us was right there. The other one is through Quetta into Kandahar to the air base at Kandahar. But going up the new highway that we plugged in there from Kandahar to Kabul, that's that's a wasteland. Nobody goes there. I have a joke that I like to tell about. The joke goes like this. Well, there are 2 checkpoints on the road to Kandahar, and the first one costs you $100 to go by that checkpoint. And the guy said, okay, and what's the second checkpoint like? No one's ever gone by the first one. So that's the story about our highway between Kabul and Kandahar. Okay.
The drugs, is there something in there that, I asked some people, I said, well, what does Afghanistan do besides grow rocks? I mean, I know there's some natural resources, but there was a drug fight. Is there any... Quite truthfully, with the way with Agent Orange and all that, we could put that out of business. But obviously, someone wants that business to keep going. And
the drug business.
Yeah.
Well, you understand, narcotics for the United States of America and most of the free world, so-called quote free world, etc., is controlled by Johnson & Johnson. They're the only ones that have a license to deal in raw opium. They have their own opium fields or agricultural acreage in Australia. At one time, there were opium licenses dealt out to the Indians who were growing poppy for this process. These guys have just been pretty much put out of business. There's no more imperial decrees allowing you to grow poppy in India. So all of that comes out of Australia. So somewhere in the outback, there's a bunch of Australians giggling and getting money for this sort of thing. If we were to go in and just buy the opium crop in Afghanistan, we'd put Johnson & Johnson out of business. I mean, what else can I say? Those guys had beautiful crops. They had apricots, they had dried apricots, they had pomegranate, they had, you name it. As I was mentioning, there's over 60 different varieties of melon, most of which are so big they wouldn't be popular on this market. They have grapes. There's at least 100 different varieties of grapes. I mean, there are grapes that you can't even imagine. There are grapes from the size of small peas all the way up to Husseini, which look like fingers. I mean, they have agricultural capability, the likes of which is unequaled. The problem is the Russians screwed up all of the goddamn, there goes the irrigation system. It's going to take, 100 years to redig all that stuff unless you go in there. And probably the best thing we could do if we wanted to do a real job is to contract with Komatsu or with some large Caterpillar, for that matter, or Turnipole. Okay, Lutuno. Take a lot of equipment over there, show them how to fix it, show them how to make aggregates, show them how to do this, that, and the other thing. Leave them $1 million there so they can buy some more raw materials and get the hell out. They're clever enough to know if they want it, they will do it.
What about Al-Qaeda? Would they just take over the country again?
Who? Al-Qaeda? Al-Qaeda never took over the country. Understand that the Al-Qaeda guys the Egyptians, who were brought in by Kountz and installed around bin Laden and installed with Muhammad Omar, were under house arrest by the Taliban.
So the Taliban aren't as bad as our media and our government.
Yeah. They didn't want a bunch of Egyptians telling them what to do. The Egyptians in Jalalabad are persona non grata currently. Yes.
John, I think part of our terror education is it's hard to all absorb, but I think that the Taliban, it's part of your presentation you didn't address, but apparently they are influencing the election that is going on today.
Yeah.
By making a lot of attacks, some upwards of 70 attacks and killings to try to suppress the vote.
Yes.
And by all accounts, the vote count is down
40%.
40% or so from what it was last time.
Yep.
And the challenger to Karzai this man Abdullah has a lot of favor with the Tajik and Uzbek tribes.